which it did, and its navigational antennas. All but one navigational antenna did deploy. The one that did not deploy, one of two redundant CORS rendezvous antennas that governs the automated rendezvous operations for the Progress, remained folded. There were repeated troubleshooting efforts over the past 48 hours by Russian flight controllers there in Korolyov that you see in this balcony view to try to coax the folded antenna from its stowed position into a deployed position, but that was unsuccessful. So the Progress has been flying ever so smoothly on just one rendezvous antenna, automated rendezvous antenna, and will do so through the course of a fly-around of the station that is scheduled to begin about 22 minutes from now. That fly-around, and you're looking right now at the Progress from external cameras on the International Space Station. You had a momentary view as the station flies 262 statute miles over the South Pacific, about to begin a southwest to northeasterly trajectory that will carry it across the west coast of South America and then back out over the Atlantic Ocean.
The command has been sent.
The Progress will be conducting that fly-around, about a 15-degree angle fly-around, to precisely align its forward docking probe with the docking port on the space-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station and the Poisk module. At that point, after a period of station keeping, we will transition from the automated mode using the CORS automated rendezvous system, which is down one of two antennas, to the Toru system. This is the telerobotically operated rendezvous system that will be operated by Roscosmos cosmonaut Sergei Kud-Sverchkov, the commander of the International Space Station. He will be at a control panel operating a joystick, basically, flying the Progress in for a manual docking to the Poisk module. This is not unprecedented. The crew is well trained for it, and procedures relative to the operation of the Toru system, which is the backup to the CORS system, were reviewed in detail by Russian flight controllers and Russian management with the cosmonauts aboard the International Space Station yesterday. Kud-Sverchkov will be backed up by Sergei Mikheyev. This control panel is in the Zvezda service module, and again, it will be up to Kud-Sverchkov to take over manual flying of the Progress vehicle when we come out of station keeping and go into final approach for contact and capture of the Progress to the Poisk module. Once docking is completed, the forward docking probe will be retracted to bring the two docking interfaces flush against one another, that on the Progress and, of course, on the Poisk docking port itself. That will enable hooks on the Progress side of the docking interface to close to form a hard mate and complete the rendezvous operations for today.
Round one for the Progress. Go ahead. We see the image on Bacau with some interference. The vehicle image is below the center by 1/2 of a square. Range is 8 kilometers. Rate is 8 for approach.
The interpreter that you're hearing is relaying communications from the Russian flight controllers in Korolyov to Sergei Kud-Sverchkov, who is at the control panel in the Zvezda service module, ready to take over manual control of the flying of Progress when we come out of the station keeping period that is scheduled to begin about 30 minutes from now. The Progress is about 8 kilometers away from the International Space Station, closing at the proper rate. We have a good lock on the station from Progress from the CORS automated rendezvous system, which again is operating on one of two antennas. The second of the two antennas did not deploy as planned after the Progress separated from the upper stage of the Soyuz booster following launch on Sunday. Aboard the International Space Station, the rest of the Expedition 74 crew is busy working on a variety of activities, including preparing the Quest airlock for the next in the series of spacewalks that's scheduled for March 31st. Now we have a view from the external television camera on the Progress looking at the International Space Station. In the lower left-hand corner, you see two values. One is the distance by the Core's automated rendezvous system feeding information into the onboard computers on the Progress vehicle itself. Now just a little over 7 kilometers away from the station. The bottom value is the rate of closure, which is currently 7.5 meters per second. At the time of contact and capture to the Poisk module, the Progress will be traveling at a very slow rate of about 1/10 of a meter per second to permit the proper rate of contact and capture to the Poisk docking port that will initiate the retraction of the forward docking probe on the Progress and the closing of hooks on the Progress side of the docking interface to form a hard mate. Once the docking has been completed, Sergei Kud-Sverchkov, who again will be responsible for the manual flying of Progress through the backup Toru telerobotically operated rendezvous system today, Kud-Sverchkov will be joined by his fellow Roscosmos cosmonauts Sergei Mikheyev and Andrei Fedyayev to work in the leak checks on the docking interface between Progress and Poisk before the hatch is open to the Progress later this morning to permit the start of the unstowing of the cargo, which again amounts to about 2.7 tons of food, fuel, and supplies. We're just under 16 minutes away from the start of the flyaround by Progress. The flyaround will be a narrow 15-degree angle that will precisely align the forward docking probe on Progress to the Poisk module, enabling the Russian flight controllers to make an assessment on the alignment itself before the commands are given, and the transition is made from the Core's automated rendezvous system to the Toru system following a brief period of station keeping.
Moscow station for the Progress.
Дальность 6 километров, скорость 7,77 метров в секунду на сближение. Станции наблюдаем.
Range is 6 kilometers. Rate is 7.7 meters per second. We continue monitoring the Progress image. It is now in the center of the KU video unit.
We have a good comparison now between the values that you're seeing on your screen from the external television camera on Progress looking at the International Space Station and the values being seen aboard the Zvezda service module by Sergei Kud-Sverchkov at his control panel station. Again, he will be operating what amounts to a joystick, almost like a video game, as he flies the Progress in for a manual docking to the Poisk module that required in the wake of the inability to deploy the second of two Core's automated rendezvous antennas following the Progress's separation from the upper stage of its Soyuz booster on Sunday. Progress approaching a distance of 5 kilometers away from the International Space Station, closing at a rate of just over 8 meters per second. That rate will significantly decrease once we begin the fly around of the station and set up for station keeping. The International Space Station and the Progress currently flying in formation up the east coast of South America, moving from southwest and northeast in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator. The flight control team here in Houston, led by Flight Director Diane Daly, will soon be polling her team of flight controllers for a go, no-go for docking. You see here at the bottom of your screen to her right is European Space Agency astronaut Luca Parmitano, who is the spacecraft communicator on this shift, talking to the space station crew aboard the complex. All of the other Progress systems have been operating flawlessly since its launch on Sunday from the Baikonur Cosmodrome. The only fly in the ointment has been the failure of one of those two Core's automated rendezvous antennas to deploy. Roscosmos has initiated a commission to review the data to find out what may have happened, but other than transitioning to the backup telerobotically operated rendezvous system, the Toru system, as it is called, that will be operated by Sergei Kud-Sverchkov from the Zvezda service module, the Progress has had no other technical issues during its two-day transit from the launch pad as we close in for docking, scheduled about 42 minutes from now.
Moscow Station, Space to Ground 1, regarding Progress.
We're about 1 minute away from the next engine firing on the Progress, called Impulse 4. This is the next in the series of mid-course correction maneuvers that fine-tune the Progress's path for its fly-around and eventual alignment prior to final approach for the docking to the space-facing port on the Russian segment of the station or the Poisk module.
This will be the last maneuver on Escada. Copy. Station Moscow, Space to Ground 1, for Sergei Mikhaev regarding the activation of recording. Please go ahead. Sergei, if you have not pressed the recording, can you please do it? As per radiogram, I activated the recording of the video server. That's right. But also use the RTK RODF. It's page 616. You have to turn on the recording mode. Everything has been turned on.
And the Progress in the process of executing its Impulse 4 burn.
Moscow Station on Space to Ground 1 for Progress. Go ahead. We can see the maneuver range is 2 kilometers, 200 meters. Copy.
Progress now about to hit the 2-kilometer mark away from the International Space Station, closing at a rate of about 8 meters per second. Everything continuing to go smoothly with this phase of the Rendezvous that will bring the Progress to a docking to the Poisk module on the space-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station to deliver 2.7 tons of food, fuel, and supplies for the Expedition 74 crew. The particles that you see, a result of the engine firing on the Progress for this Impulse 4 burn that has just been completed, the latest in the series of mid-course correction maneuvers to fine-tune the Progress's path to the station.
Moscow Station, space to ground 1 for Progress. Go ahead. On course pair format, we have 600 kilometers and range and the rate is
Impulse 5 now underway.
We can monitor everything from our screens.
There will be one additional impulse burn prior to the start of the flyaround maneuver that is scheduled just under 6 minutes from now.
You have a go to activate Toru. Please send the command using your laptop. Copy. We used our laptop to send the Toru activation command. Copy. Now use page 21, 4.2, and do the test. Copy. Make sure that all the keys are not pressed. They are not. All right, so execute step 4.2. We have SAT, we have the network. We also have the power to control handles. Copy. BPS is on, and we have the confirmation that the command went through. Okay, we are testing the hand controllers.
Sergei Sverchkov through an interpreter indicating that the commands from the Russian Mission Control Center to begin the activation of the Toru backup rendezvous system have been issued, and that he is in the process of testing the hand controllers that he will be using to fly the Progress in manually after we come out of the station keeping period.
So RUA test has been passed. Copy. We are doing the translational hand controller test now. Up. We have the central lights. Down. Same. To the right. Have the lights on. To the left. Also, the correct lights are on. And we press the switch, and everything, all the lights are as per RDF. BPS East command is on.
And the visiting vehicle officer confirms that Impulse 6 is currently underway. About a 13-second burn. We are now just about 800 meters away, with Progress closing in steadily to the International Space Station. Its rate of closure now has decreased to about 2.4 meters per second.
And make sure that the image is comfortable for you. Yes. So,
and our first view now, close-up view of the Progress, and you can see the thruster firings on the Progress as it adjusts its course and its path to a docking to the International Space Station.
I'm still working with the AGC mode.
Less than 2 minutes away from the predicted start of the fly-around by the Progress.
AGC mode is turned off. The station can be seen quite well.
The cosmonauts reporting from the Zvezda service module that the Toru testing of the backup rendezvous system has been completed. Everything is in good shape and in readiness for Sergei Kud-Sverchkov to take over the manual flying of the Progress for its link up to the Poisk module.
Let us wait for the fly-around commencement. Please use page 22. Use the ruler to visually control the range. And if you need it, do the wide angle. Copy. Right now you're at a narrow angle, but if you need to, if your image will be kind of drifting away, you can do the wide angle. Copy.
Progress and the International Space Station flying 262 statute miles over the South Atlantic as the station and Progress approach the west coast of Africa.
At around 400 meters range, the fly-around will start.
The fly-around scheduled to begin momentarily at a range of about 400 meters between Progress and Poisk.
500 meters range. The rate is 1.6. Copy. We can see the image. We see that the headlight is on the vehicle. Copy.
With the Atlantic Ocean below, visually, Progress continues to close in for the start of its fly-around.
Is as per the ruler. It's about 400 meters. Copy.
The image you're seeing, it's very difficult for us to perceive this, but the engineers are reporting that it's very obvious that one of the two core's rendezvous antennas is in fact stowed, fully stowed. It simply did not deploy following the Progress's separation from the third stage of the Soyuz 2.1A booster on Sunday. Progress now 360 meters away, closing at a rate of just under 1 meter per second. The fly-around of the station underway. This will precisely align the forward docking probe on the Progress with the Poisk module on the space-facing side of the Russian segment of the station.
On VKO is 340 meters. On course path, displays between 340 to 300 meters. Copy. Please monitor the automatic fly around process. Copy.
The fly around of Progress is being governed by the Corps' automated rendezvous system, with the information loaded into the vehicle's computers. Sergei Sverchkov, the station commander, will take over the manual flying of Progress when the Russian flight controllers determine that we will come out of a station keeping period and begin the final approach for docking. About 270 meters separating Progress from the station. The fly around of the station is continuing. We expect this brief period of station keeping to begin with Progress around the 200-meter mark from its destination, which is the docking port on the Poisk module on the space-facing side of the station.
And 0.55 meters per second is the closing rate. Copy. Visually, the range is according to our data. Copy.
Progress and the space station about to cross the west coast of Africa. This track will carry it across the Sahara Desert, moving from southwest to northeast and across the Mediterranean. Progress about 3/4 of the way through its fly around.
The range is about 200 meters as per ruler. The VACO rate is 0.18 and it's closing. Okay, copy.
Progress continuing a flawless fly around at the moment, 200 meters away, closing at a rate of just over 1/10 of a meter per second. The Poisk module, which is the destination for Progress today, is also used as the airlock for Russian-based spacewalks out of the International Space Station. We are closing in on the end of the flyaround. All of the Progress systems, with the exception of that one core's automated rendezvous antenna, are functioning perfectly.
We continue monitoring the flyaround. 200 range and 0.02 meters per second is the rate. Copy.
About 20 degrees of flyaround remaining. You can see essentially that the Progress through these thruster firings is beginning to decelerate its rate of the flyaround prior to putting the brakes on for a period of station keeping. A good bird's eye view of the Russian segment of the International Space Station.
Sergey, we are waiting cross-talking.
Progress is currently in a commanded roll. This is pre-planned to properly align its solar arrays for final approach and docking. You're looking right down the barrel of the Poisk module docking port that soon will be the port of call for the Progress 94 cargo ship.
Okay, please continue monitoring the automatic flyaround and rendezvous.
You can see again the data in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. About 172 meters separating Progress from the Poisk docking port, just about having nulled its approach rate.
Until the eclipse. Copy.
And the fly-around is now complete. We're in the period of station keeping. So Progress has put the brakes on as we await further word on the transition to the Toru automated rendezvous system that will be operated by Sergei Kud-Sverchkov to fly the Progress in for its docking.
Inaudible. Okay, we have a go to Toru. Yes, the breakaway is enabled and the manual control is on. Работа, the operation is on. Breakout is enabled. And the manual control is on. ON. Copy. All right, you can try to adjust a little bit for roll.
Sergei Kud-Sverchkov has now taken over manual control of the rest of the rendezvous.
They are responsive.
So Progress is under the control of the backup Toru telerobotically operated rendezvous system.
Will be transitioned to snap and hold, and after that you will have a go to do final approach. Inaudible.
We're standing by for the final configuration of station systems before the go is given for final approach.
Sergey, how do you see the station? Wonderfully. It's right in the middle of the VKU. Copy. At your discretion, you can use the AGC mode. Copy. And the rendezvous group gave us a go to use the range and rate that you see. Copy. But please visually monitor it anyway. Copy.
Progress continues its station keeping period. Russian flight controllers assessing the alignment of the forward docking probe on Progress, as well as the beginning of the manual flying of the vehicle once the green light is given to resume final approach for docking. This view once again from the external television camera on the Progress, showing the bird's eye view of the Russian segment of the station.
Turn on your timer and do the final approach until you reach 30 meters. Copy. The timer is on, and we are doing the final approach until 30 meters. And in 5 minutes, inaudible. Copy.
And the Russian flight controllers have confirmed that final approach is underway. The Progress being flown by Sergei Kud-Sverchkov to the 30-meter mark. At that point, there'll be one final assessment of the alignment of the Progress and its systems before we close the gap for contact and capture. Once again, Sergei Kud-Sverchkov from a control panel using a joystick to fly the Progress in manually through the backup telerobotically operated rendezvous system, the Toru system. This being employed in the wake of the inability to deploy one of 2 Core's automated rendezvous antennas following the Progress's separation from the upper stage of the Soyuz booster following launch on Sunday. All of the other Progress systems are rock solid as the Progress makes a slow, methodical approach to the 30-meter mark for one additional moment of station keeping and a systems check before we continue to press in.
.125 is range and .42 is the rate. Copy. So use 0.2, 0.3 rate until you reach 25. And please make sure that the flip switch can be pulled towards yourself. Copy. The range is 110. The rate is .32. And as for the manual control, you only have 2 more thrusters for braking. Copy.
The Poisk docking port is right above the center of the crosshairs in this view from the external television camera on Progress. Now less than 100 meters separating the 2 vehicles, closing at a rate of 0.3 of a meter per second.
Range is 96 meters. Rate is 0.30 meters per second, and visually it matches. Copy.
So far, so good. Progress moving very smoothly toward its docking port under the control of Sergei Kud-Sverchkov using the backup rendezvous system called the Toru to fly Progress in. Again, we're expecting to hold at about 30 meters to enable the Russian flight controllers of the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow to make a final assessment of the alignment of the Progress to the docking port.
At 10 minutes till eclipse, we have enough time. So 63 meters is range. Inaudible. Okay, we are doing the back away plus X. Copy. So I sent the command back away plus X.
And we've received a report from the Russian Mission Control Center that we will not be holding at the 30-meter mark because of the precision of the flying of the Progress. It is targeted right down the middle of the docking port. So we will press ahead. No need for additional station keeping at the 30-meter mark.
If all the parameters are nominal, do not do the station keeping at 30 meters, but make sure that you do the Okra. Copy. I have a go not to do the station keeping. And also, after you've passed the 20-30 meter range, you will have to adjust the rate to 0.06 to 0.15, somewhere in that range.
Again, the view from Progress as it moves ever so methodically and steadily towards its link up to the Poisk module. You see the docking port just above the crosshairs. There is a docking target that is just about right in the middle of the crosshairs right now. 27 meters separating Progress from Poisk, closing at a rate of about 1/10 of a meter per second.
Inaudible. Copy. Do you see the station? Because we do not receive any video at this time. We do not have any video. Please keep reporting. Standby 1, I will be reporting now. We can see the station. The target is in the middle of the monitor, 20 meters range, and 0.14 is the rate. Copy. SRP is ready.
The Progress docking mechanism is now powered up,
and
all positions are go for docking, which should occur just a few minutes from now. 15 meters separating Progress from Poisk.
You have to do the station keeping at 3 meters, and you have 2 seconds after that. Copy.
Progress will pause its approach at about the 3-meter mark. One final confidence check before the green light is given for Progress to press in for contact and capture. Everything is smooth as silk so far. You see the diamond-shaped docking target right in the center of the crosshairs. Progress being flown in by Sergei Sverchkov from a control panel in the Zvezda service module. Six meters away. Progress is braking at the 3-meter mark. One final assessment being made.
The target is in the middle of the video monitor, and the crosshairs are aligned. Copy. And you are go to do the final approach until contact. Copy. The range is about 5.
And you heard the Russian flight controllers through the interpreter giving Kud Sverchkov the go-ahead to continue the manual flying of Progress in for docking. Good alignment with the docking target that you see in the field of view right at the center of the crosshairs.
Station keeping. Copy. So we are station keeping at 3 meters. The target is in the middle, and I will be doing the final approach until contact. Go, you have our go.
And this view from station cameras looking at the forward docking probe extended on the Progress as it closes the final few meters for contact and capture.
501, 502, approaching. Copy.
Progress closing the final couple of meters here as we stand by for contact and capture.
Waiting for contact.
We have contact.
Copy.
And capture. Docking confirmed at 8:40 a.m. Central Time, 9:40 a.m. Eastern Time.
16:45. Copy. Great job, guys. Congratulations on this wonderful work. And Progress 463 has contact and has capture. Everything is great. Thank you very much, and thank you for teaching us so well. You're doing very well, guys. Thank you. So on
Sergei Kud Sverchkov waxed it in. A perfect manual docking of the Progress 94 cargo ship to the Poisk module, docking again occurring at 8:40 a.m. Central Time, 9:40 a.m. Eastern Time, as the International Space Station in Progress flew 262 miles over the border between Kazakhstan and Mongolia. We'll now stand by for the relative motion between the two vehicles to dampen out before the retraction of that forward docking probe to pull the two docking interfaces flush against one another, enabling the Progress hooks to close for a hard mate. And the retraction of the docking probe is now underway. This view from the Progress television camera, and you can see very clearly the docking target that was part of the tool kit that was used by Sergei Kud-Sverchkov to manually fly in the Progress for its manual docking using the backup Toru telerobotically operated rendezvous system. Once again, docking occurring flawlessly with the backup system at 8:40 a.m. Central Time, 9:40 a.m. Eastern Time, as Progress and the International Space Station flew 262 miles over the border between Kazakhstan and Mongolia. Once the Progress hooks are closed to form a hard mate, the process of conducting leak checks at both sides of the docking interface will get underway. Kud-Sverchkov, Sergei Mikheyev, and Andrei Fedyaev will be in charge of conducting those leak checks on the station side of the docking interface before the hatch is opened to the Progress several hours from now. And we have word that the Progress hooks are driving. We're standing by for that to be completed, and docking will have been achieved with a hard mate. And we have confirmation that the hooks are closed, the Progress hooks now closed. We have a hard mate between Progress and the Poisk module. The uncrewed cargo ship has reached its destination for the delivery of 2.7 tons of food, fuel, and supplies. So as you take a look once again at the Russian Mission Control Center on the outskirts of Moscow, the Progress was launched on Sunday morning atop a Soyuz 2.1A booster from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. 8 minutes and 45 seconds after launch, the Progress separated from the upper stage of the three-stage Soyuz booster. All of the solar array mechanisms and the navigational antennas deployed, with the exception of one of two Kors automated rendezvous antennas, which failed to deploy. Troubleshooting efforts were not successful over the past 2 days, resulting in the decision to have Sergei Kud-Sverchkov manually fly in the Progress from its station-keeping position towards a very smooth and uneventful link-up to the Poisk module on the space-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. That docking occurred at 8:40 a.m. Central Time, 9:40 a.m. Eastern Time. It was a perfect manual docking executed by Kud-Sverchkov, the Expedition 74 commander. With that, leak checks will be conducted over the next several hours. The hatch to Progress will be open to enable the Russian crew members on board the complex to begin unloading the first of some 2.7 tons of food, fuel, and supplies for the International Space Station. With that, we'll wrap up our coverage for today. Progress 94 has docked successfully to the Poisk module at the International Space Station. Keep up with all of the activities on board the station at www.nasa.gov/station. For now, we'll sign off. This is Mission Control Houston.